Hey folks, back again with another build video. This time around we're going to try and show you how to get the highest possible damage that you can get from a skill build. So starting off, as most of my skill builds do, we've got the Technician Specialization for that all-important +1 skill tier right off the bat. That'll give us some freedom as you look down further in the build. Going to the primary weapon, it's a pretty important piece for this build in particular. We've got the Capacitor Assault Rifle with its all-important capacitance skill, in which each stack grants 1.5% skill damage up to a max of 40. That's a cap of 40, which means there is a maximum skill damage increase of 60%. For those of you following along at home, that's 20% better than what Perfectly in Sync can give you on either the Harmony or the Test Subject, which is why I went with the Capacitor. Secondary weapon, I've got the Mop on just for the 10% armor on kill, and it's nice to have a shotgun when you're cornered. And then on the mask here, you'll see we've got our first piece of Empress International that gives us plus 10% skill health. Attributes, we've got armor regen and skill damage. Those are going to be common across pretty much all pieces except for the waveform, where that's not an option obviously. And then we've got skill haste in our mod slot. Feel free to vary that up with your own personal preferences. You could go skill haste or skill duration. For the backpack, we've got the named Hanayu Force Multiplier that gives plus 10% skill haste in the brand bonus, but more importantly, along with our attributes of armor regen and skill damage, we've got the Perfect Combined Arms talent, which gives us 30% skill damage after shooting an enemy for 3 seconds, and that's a 5% increase over the standard combined arms. If you don't have this named Force Multiplier, this is a place where you could switch to the Wyvern Wear, which gives you the plus 10% skill damage. And you can see in the attributes, they're not as perfect as I would like. I would honestly swap the skill haste there for armor regen, but I'm not worried too much about it, and neither should you. Honestly, they're a bit preferential. If you want a little bit more skill haste over armor regen, feel free to swap them here. What's important is that combined arms talent, which is why I did not reroll the skill haste. I needed to reroll the talent instead. So one thing I do want to touch on is, by the math on the face of it, this backpack should give you a higher damage output than Force Multiplier, because with this backpack we have the 10% from Wyvern Wear, 10% from the attribute, and 25% from combined arms, which gives a total of 45%. Whereas on Force Multiplier, we have no damage from the brand bonus, plus 10% from skill damage, plus 30% from perfectly combined arms, for a total of 40%. So in theory, we should be 5% lower with the Force Multiplier backpack. But as any of you are aware, as you start to dive into this, what's more important than the number itself is where the multiplication is applied. And in this case, through in-game testing, the Force Multiplier backpack comes out slightly ahead, less than 1%. So honestly, either one of these is perfectly serviceable, but if you are going for that absolute maximum, what you want to go with is actually the Force Multiplier, even though on the face of it, the math may indicate otherwise. Moving on to the chest piece, we have the Sacrifice, which is the named Providence Defense piece. The brand set bonus isn't doing much for us here, but it never hurts to have 15% headshot damage. We've got that normal core attribute, and then skill damage and armor regen. But most importantly, we've got the talent again. Perfect Glass Cannon gives you an extra 30%, which is again a 5% increase on the standard Glass Cannon. As I've talked before, if you want to build that's a little less fragile, as Glass Cannon insinuates, you can go Kinetic Momentum, but again, the focus here is the maximum skill output, for which Perfect Glass Cannon is going to be the way to go. For the gloves, we have the second piece of Empress International. That gives us our plus 10% skill damage, and then our attributes are the same, skill damage and armor regen. For the holster, we have the exotic waveform. No brand bonus, obviously, but we do get the skill damage and skill haste that we're looking for, plus the alternating current talent, which generates a stack of 3% skill damage, 1 for every skill for every second, up to a maximum of 10 stacks. So that is a maximum of 30% at any one time for one of your skills. And as you'll see in the video later on, those stacks alternate between the skills. So at one point in time, you'll have 30% for one and 0% for the other, and then they will seesaw between the two, so that at maximum the other skill has the 30%. So on average, if your skills are out at the same time, you will average 15% skill damage for both skills, which is pretty great for a holster. And for the knee pads, we have our third piece of Empress International, which gives us the plus 10% skill efficiency. And for those of you who are unaware, the skill efficiency is very powerful, as it is a roll-up skill, as 1% skill efficiency equates to 1% skill damage, 1% skill haste, 1% skill duration, skill health, repair skills, and status effects. So for this build in particular, we are very interested in the skill damage, skill haste, skill duration, and skill health. All of that is being provided by that skill efficiency. And then as you can see here, we have the assault turret and the striker drone. While I'm aware there is a higher maximum damage available with the artillery turret, in order to have the artillery turret, you would have to give up the +1 skill tier provided by the technician, or get really lucky and be able to re-roll a sacrifice that already has maximum skill damage. Either way, I find this a far more accessible build. While we watch some video of this thing in action, I want to talk about a couple of the drawbacks. Obviously, the output is fantastic, but as with pretty much any glass cannon build, the drawback is the fragility that you will feel. Taking any hit is going to absolutely strip off your armor and health. So to that end, you're definitely going to want to stick to cover more than you might otherwise do so, but it's definitely going to be the best way to let your skills do their thing and take down the opposition. Put this on, give it a try. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe. Helps get our viewership numbers up and lets us keep doing things like this. But until then, see you in the next one.